Awesome. So let me ask you a question. How many of you are ready to go to the next level of success in your lives? Thank you, thank you. And how many of you are ready to go to the next level of happiness in your lives? You have come to the what? Right place. Okay, all right. So my name is Harv Eker, for those of you who don't know me, and welcome to The Millionaire Mind, the secret psychology of wealth. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge you for being here. There's a saying that says, 80% of success is just what? Who can tell me? So since I can't reach you all, I need you to do me a little favor. Simply reach around, pat both your neighbors on the back, and go, congratulations for being here. All right. So before we go too much further, I want to thank Bernie and all the team at CEO Space for inviting me. Give them a big round of applause. And I'll tell you what, I was listening to Bernie introduce me for the last 45 minutes, and he gave me some extra time. Now I know why, okay? And people say that I actually, at my seminars, raise your hand if you've been to one of my seminars. Yeah! Oh, well, that's about 40% of you. That's awesome. They say that at my seminars, when I bring in people, that I give them really good introductions. And I go, well, I don't think about that. I just speak from my heart. And if I was going to bring somebody in, they better be a good person. Yes or yes? Yeah. And so I speak from my heart. And I now understand why they're good, because they're true for me. Does that make sense at all? Yeah. And it takes a person with a lot of heart and integrity to tell you what's true for them. Yes or yes? Yeah. And Bernie Dorman is one of those people. So give Bernie another big round of applause. I appreciate it. Thank you. So a lot of you have been with me before, but it always helps to review. Yes or yes? Yes. And it can give you a little kickstart, a little new motivation. And even myself, I always say the same thing. I say, thank God I take my own courses. I would be a mess. And now I can be teaching anything, and yet, I'll say something myself, I'll go, oh my, you need to be doing a lot more of that. Yes? Raise your hand if you can relate to what I'm saying here. Awesome. All right, good. And if you don't want to relate to that, just help me out with my lines, all right? How's that? So I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for your courage. It takes a lot of courage to, even have a look at your life and admit what's going on. And, I like this story about the fact that most people are not good admitters, are they? No? It kind of reminds me of a story about this lion who's walking along the path of the jungle. And he comes across a monkey, and he goes, hey, monkey, who's the king of the jungle? The monkey goes, you are, sir, you are. He goes, that's right, and don't you ever forget it. Keeps on walking along the path, and he comes across a snake. And he goes, hey, snake, who's the king of the jungle? The snake goes, you are, sir, you are. He goes, that's right, and don't you ever forget it. Keeps on walking along the path. He comes across a great big elephant. He goes, hey, elephant, who's the king of the jungle? The elephant just keeps on walking. He goes, hey, elephant, who's the king of the jungle? The elephant just ignores him. The lion gets really mad, takes his paw, swipes the elephant on the butt, draws blood. The elephant gets angry, picks up the lion with his trunk, throws him around, fires him on the ground, stomps on his head, picks him up, throws him around, fires him on the ground, stomps on his head, picks him up, throws him against a tree, and the battered and bloody lion just lying there goes, hey, you don't have to get mad just because you don't know the right answer. And you might as well laugh now because I don't get any better, okay? Anytime I do any training, any what, please? Thank you. I have 2 rules. How many rules? Thank you. The first rule is this. Don't believe a word I say. Now, in all sincerity, why would I suggest that? Thank you. Whose experience can I come from? Thank you. Just my experience. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it true, and it doesn't make it false. It just makes it what? My experience. All I can let you know, however, is that the information and principles you're about to learn here today totally transformed my life and has now transformed the lives of literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other people from 83 different countries around the world. And what I can tell you is that if you learn this material, but more importantly, you what? You use it. What's the word? Use it. I believe it can transform your life too. So all I can ask of you is, would you be willing to be open? What is it? Open. And try the principles out in whose life? In your life. Thank you. Whatever works for you, keep on what? Doing. And whatever doesn't work, you're welcome to what? Throw it out. How many of you would be willing to be open? Excellent. Anybody not? We'll see. As for rule number 2, if you're going to spend your precious time here, how many of you like to learn faster? How many like to remember more of what you learn? Research shows the key to that is what? Who can tell me? Yes, involvement, participation, as you see with Bernie's super teaching all the time. Involvement. So how many know ask a lot of questions? What do questions do? Yes, questions hook the mind. What do they do, please? Thank you. They hook the mind and keep you involved. Also, you notice that sometimes I leave the last word off the end of my sentence, and your mind just fills in the... You guys are good. And then sometimes I'll ask you to repeat things. To what? Repeat. Now, why on earth would I ask you to repeat things? Yes, absolutely. For involvement, first of all, that's true. But also, isn't it true that if I say something, it means one thing? But if you say it, it means everything. Yes or yes? Yes. So how many of you want to participate 100% today? Excellent. Anybody not? We'll see. And just for the record, how many of you wouldn't raise your hand no matter what I ask you? Come on, where are you? There's always a few. All right, got you one time. That's great. Now, since we're going to spend the next little while together, is it okay if I tell you just a little bit about myself? Thank you. I guess my claim to fame is that I own at least a dozen different businesses before I hit the age of 30. Included in one of those businesses was opening one of the first retail fitness stores in all of North America. Now, the interesting thing about that company is I started that company with $2,000 that I borrowed on my Visa card. And from there, I was able to open 10 company-owned locations in only 2.5 years, and then I sold half my company shares to the H.J. Heinz Corporation. You know the ketchup people? For $1.6 million. How many would mind starting with a $2,000 credit card loan and having $1.5 million sitting in your bank account a couple years later? Now, I know that today that doesn't sound like a lot, but 20 years ago, that was quite a sum. Yes or yes? So that was how I basically created that. And after that, I kind of semi-retired, and I moved down to sunny San Diego, and I began doing some one-on-one consulting. What kind of consulting, please? Thank you. And I guess it was pretty effective for people because they started bringing friends and managers and employees and partners, and pretty soon it was 1-on-2 and then 1-on-5 and then 1-on-10. And someone suggested, Harv, you might as well open up a school already. And I said, you know what? That is such a good idea. And I did. And I founded the Street Smart Business School and taught thousands of people all across North America street smart business strategies for high-speed success. What kind of success? Thank you. And it was during these seminars that I noticed something. I noticed something very, 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 very strange. Would you like to know what it was? Yes. Well, maybe I'll tell you next time, but what it was simply this. You can actually have two people sitting side by side in exactly the same room, learning exactly the same principles and strategies, and one person would take these principles and they would skyrocket to success. But what do you think would happen to the person maybe sitting right beside them? Yeah, not a heck of a lot. And I realized right there, you can actually have the greatest tools in the world, but if you have just a tiny leak in your toolbox, then we have a little problem. So I began designing programs based on the inner game. What game, please? Thank you. The inner game of money and success. And when we blended and combined the inner game with the outer tools, virtually everybody's results went through the roof. Does that make sense at all? Now, a good example I'm talking about with this inner game is, how many of you notice the phenomenon that when a millionaire loses their money, they generally have it back a very short time later? Yes? Absolutely. Now, so have you heard of this gentleman by the name of Donald Trump? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't if you're on the planet Mars or something, but probably there too. But you're here to hear this guy. Here's this multi-billionaire who loses everything and more, and 2 years later, he's got it all back again and more. Why does this phenomenon happen? It happens because even though these people might have lost their money, they never lost the most important ingredient to their success, which was their what? Their millionaire? In Donald's case, however, it says what? His billionaire mind. Do you realize that Donald Trump could never, quote unquote, just be a millionaire? Let me ask you your opinion. Will you give it to me? Yes? How do you think Donald Trump would feel if his net worth was $1 million? He'd feel broke. He'd feel like a financial failure. Yes? And this is one of the most important things you're ever going to hear in your entire life. That's because Donald Trump's financial blueprint, financial what, please? Is set for, pick your index finger up with me, please, and make a B. Billions, not millions. Now, most people's financial blueprints, including people on your team and your staff even, are not set for millions or billions. They're set for, pick your fingers up, take a T with me, thousands, not millions. Other people's financial blueprints are set for, fingers up, make an H with me, hundreds, not even thousands. And some people's financial blueprints are set for thumbs up, thumbs down, below zero. They're freezing and they don't know why. All right, now, this brings us to what we call the psychology of wealth. Psychology of what, please? Very important to realize that we live in a world of duality. Help me out here. Give me some examples. Up and down, black and white, in and out, rich and poor, before and after, hot and cold, off and on, left and right. As you say, take left and right. Is it possible to have a left side without a right side? Left of what? You see, it's a comparison. So just as there are outer laws to money, therefore there must be what? Thank you. Inner laws to money.